So hey everyone, welcome to Small Farm Living. Before we get started on our crafting today, I just wanted to thank everyone for being here. I truly do appreciate each and every one of you. We're going to be doing 2 crafts today, so let's get into it. So our first craft today, I found this adorable little sign at the Dollar Tree, but it's talking about a bath, and I really want to make this more wintry. So my first thought was, let's scrape this off of here with my sander very lightly. Well, bad idea. It was just ripping the actual paper and some of the background off. So I was like, okay, well, thought number 2, let's just cover this with a complete layer of white paint to hide all of that. Again, that was a bad idea because the roughness that the sander caused was showing through on the sign. So I found these peel and stick, I don't know, I guess they're almost like wallpapers at the Dollar Tree, and I kind of like this one, and I was just kind of just trying to decide which look I was going for, a line in the center or just solid. And now that I've decided, I'm putting my sign upside down on it and I'm tracing around it, but I'm kind of giving a little bit extra room on the edges. And the reason why is I want there to be hangover on all of the sides. And now as I'm cutting it out, I'm also cutting on the outside of that line. So there is, again, extra room for when I go to put it onto the actual sign piece. And I'm just going to unpeel the back here and lay it on the table. And it's just easier for me to lay the stick on the table and then put the sign down on top of it. I can eyeball it better that way. And here you can see I have hangover on all sides. And I'm just gonna just make sure that this is all flattened on there. I'm gonna take my little scraper tool just to make sure there's no little bubbles under there. After all I went through, I didn't want there to be any bumps or frumps on the front of my sign. So now I'm just taking my little hand sander and I'm sanding off the edges so that I can peel it off. And it worked better than that, but because the back of it was sticky, it was just sticking to my fingers. And now that I've got all the edges done, I'm going to go around and actually give a little rough scrape to the front side edges of the sign. And I will show you why I'm doing that here in just a little bit. And then this little poker tool that I got at the Dollar Tree, I'm just marking through to the front side of the sign where the holes are. And at first I tried to use this just to kind of rough open the holes, but it really wasn't as effective as I wanted. So I just grabbed one of my ballpoint pins and was able to get that stuck in there. Now my first thought too was I was going to stencil the words that I want to put on here on. And I am horrible at figuring out spacing from side to side and how far the words need to be apart. So I ended up just freehanding it. I'm not the best at font drawing or anything like that, but it is what it is. I did the best that I could. And then I decided I would take my really thick black Sharpie and I'm just going to trace over all of it. And then I'm going to put a little glue on it and put this old-fashioned tinsel on there. I have had this, I'm not even kidding you guys, for like probably 20 years. I got it at an auction and it's old, but it is the most beautiful glitter I have ever seen. And if you've watched my videos before, you know I'm not a real glitter person, but this glitter I just love. So I'm just going to trace over all of the letters that I wrote out. And as you can see, it's going to say Winter Wonderland. And I really liked the way it was turning out with just the black on there. And I wasn't really sure if I wanted to go ahead and put the glitter on top of it, but I don't know. I decided I was going to. Later in the video, once you see it done, you can let me know down in the comments if you like it better with just the plain black writing like you see here, or if you like it with the glitter on top. I'm in a spoil alert for you. I kind of would have preferred to have just left it with the black font and maybe just done the snowflakes in glitter. But like I said, it is what it is. It's all done now. But and this part too, let me tell you, it's really hard when there's like fine little details when you're trying to put those little flecks onto the snowflakes. I almost needed something more fine-tuned, like of a tip, so that it could have turned out a little bit better, because I thought the snowflakes also turned out a little bit globby, but I mean, you still can see there that they're snowflakes. Now these are cute little gems that I found somewhere. I think probably found them at the thrift store, and I just wanted to put one little sparkly gem in the center of each one of the snowflakes. And I know from here you can't really see it too well, but they're there. And then this is a little snowflake ribbon that I actually got at Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to cut some out because what I'm going to do with these is I want to put a couple of little snowflakes on these little mittens that I got. And I got a pair of mittens and a pair of gloves, and these are little kids ones that I found at the Dollar Tree. And let me tell you, I searched for the mitten ones for months before I ever found them, and I happened to just find them in a box before they even got them put on the shelf, so it must have been my lucky day. But I'm taking my little purple school glue and I'm putting glue on the back of all of the little snowflakes that I cut off of the ribbon strand, and I'm going to give them glittered, and I'm going to let those sit aside and dry. And then I'm going to take the little clothespins that were on this sign, and I just kind of want to glam them up a little bit since we have some glitter going on this sign. And I'm just going to take 3 little dabs of glue with my toothpick, and then I'm going to take those little gems that I put one in the center of the snowflakes, and I'm going to put 1 little gem on top of each one of those little daubs of glue. So I'll end up with 3 little sparkly gems on each one of my clothespins. And then I'm going to give it a clear enamel spray just to seal everything in. Hopefully this will keep the glitter from going everywhere. And now that they're dry, I'm going to take my little mittens and position them how I want to hang on the sign. And then I'm going to put my snowflakes on here. I always kind of thought I wanted to have the bigger one on top and the smaller one on bottom. And I laid them on there to see if that's what I wanted, and it was. So just very gently, I am trying to get the glue on all the little edges of the snowflake, which was not easy, and it created strings, but I got it on there and I'm pulling off the strings. And then I'm going to glue the bottom one on, same way. Dropping it. Getting that on there. And I think they turn out really cute, but I'm just going to do the same thing on my second mitten. I'm going to get both of the snowflakes put on those. And now on the actual little pair of gloves, I just decided I just wanted to do one. So I'm just going to put 1 large one at the top here. And it came with this jute twine. I didn't really like it so much to go with the mittens and the theme. So I have this little braided cording that I've had for years. Not even sure where I got it, probably Joann's. And I'm just going to measure the same length that the jute twine was. And I'm going to cut it off to length. And hindsight, once I cut it, I was like, oh man, you're supposed to put the tape on both, you know, like you're supposed to put the tape across the cording and then cut in the middle of the tape so the ends don't fray. Yeah, I didn't do that first, so it took me a little bit to get it back under control. But now I have the cording put in the signs, and I'm going to start putting my little clothespins back on here because now we are going to hang the mittens. And I want the mittens to kind of hang at an angle, so I'm just slanting them. And this one, I realized once I hooked it on there, it wasn't hanging the right way. So I had to move it over. And the mittens. Oh, this is the one. I clipped it on the wrong side because it was hanging the same way as the mittens, and I want the gloves to hang off to the other side. And then once I got those all on there and I looked at my sign, I was like, oh yeah, I was going to put some distressing wax on the edges of this sign where I had sanded it earlier in the video. So I took the mittens and gloves back off, and I just took a little paper towel and some of my antique wax, and I just rubbed it around all of the edges, and then I just rubbed a little bit of it in and throughout the sign, got it put back together, and this is what it looked like. And sorry, it's kind of the evening, the lighting isn't the best, but it really turned out darling. I just love the look of little kids' mittens hanging. Of course, I love little kids, so. But see what you can see the sparkle on there? Let me know if you thought it would have looked better if I just had left it black, or if you like it with the glitter on there. I like it both ways, but I did kind of like it with just the black. So now on to craft number 2. I got these little angels at the Dollar Tree. They're a wood body, but the wings are actually just a paper. I wish they were wood, but they were paper. And what we're doing is we're kind of making kind of a natural looking tree, but it's made with ribbon. So I wanted to take this, the antique wax again, and I'm just painting on with the paintbrush so that I can try not to get it on her wings at all. And then once I get it rubbed on her body and then on her head, I'm just going to take my paper towel and rub off the excess. And now her little wings, I thought that I would first I was thinking maybe glitter, and then I'm like, no, I don't really want to work with any more glitter. So what I ended up deciding on was going with my antique gold rub and buff. I don't have any gold paint, just the rub and buff. So I thought, well, I can make this work. Took a little paintbrush and I just painted her wings on the front, the back, and all of the edges with it. And I'm going to set her aside to dry. And this is a cone that I got from a thrift store. I think I got a pack of 2. They were green, but I wanted to color it darker green, so I painted it previously and let it dry. And I'm taking this ribbon that I got at Hobby Lobby, and I just cut some little strips, and I'm going to be gluing them into little loops. And I'm just gluing the very ends together. So you can see I have a little loop there. And what we're going to be doing with these loops is we are going to be gluing them all around the edge of the bottom of the tree. And I was really careful with my glue gun, and luckily I didn't melt any of the styrofoam in the process of doing this. But I'm just getting one glued on, and then to do the second one, I'm overlapping the first one just slightly, as you can see right there. And the most important part of this I discovered as I was going along was just to make sure that the bottom edges matched. The top edges didn't matter so much because the next layer above it is going to cover that up. So I'm just going to work my way around the bottom of the tree. And this is what we look like when the first layer was done. And then we're going to move on to the second layer. And with the second layer, I offset where the bottom first layer started, so the look wasn't always the same going up the side of the tree, if that makes sense. And here's what we look like when we're getting to the top. Now, before I put my last row on up here, I want to put a little cover over the top of the tree where the angel is going to sit. So I just took another piece of that ribbon, and I am going to hot glue that onto the top of the tree once I cut off the excess after I shaped it over the top. Get my blob of glue up there and get that on there. And then once that is on there and secured, then I can go ahead and put my top layer on. And as you can see, it goes all the way up to the top, and that way there isn't like any roughness, if you know what I mean. There's like none of that styrofoam showing. So while that is sitting, I want to take this little terracotta pot that I got, and I'm going to put on some of my metallic espresso paint. This has been my favorite this year. And I'm going to just put a layer on, and I ended up just doing one layer, and I really had almost perfect coverage. I did go around and touch up just a couple little spots. I didn't do the bottom. And then I'm going to glue my angel on the tree while that is drying. And I did actually take it and blow it dry with the hairdryer, so it went faster. But now right up here, I thought, oh, I want to put a little bit of something around the base of the angel because it's just kind of looking too plain up there with the blunt edge of the ribbon. So I have some of this reindeer moss that I got at the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to put a very thin little ring of it around the base of the angel. And then this is a little pine cone and a couple little berries that I deconstructed from some really tiny little picks that I got at the Hobby Lobby. And I thought I would just glue on one little pine cone and 2 of these little berries. Try to keep the glue from stringing everywhere. And there we have it. And then this little rickrack I got in the fabric section at the Hobby Lobby, and I just wanted to make her a little halo for her head, just so it could kind of fit the build there. And I didn't actually glue it on, I just set it on, but I may go down and glue it on later. So now we're putting a real generous layer of glue around the top of the little terracotta pot and setting it on there, and this is what it looks like when it was finished. Even my teenage daughter told me it was cute, so I took that compliment. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And you literally could make this with any color ribbon, solid, colored, whatever your fancy. So let's wrap up what we made. We just did 2 crafts this week. We have our adorable little sign, and we have our tree. Let me know down in the comments which one was your favorite. I would love it if you would like and subscribe. And thanks for hanging out. I'll see you next time.